please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And Star Trek Picard is just freaking awesome. What happened with Star Trek Picard 1 and 2? I don't know. Star Trek Picard is so freaking awesome. This is insane. I admit this is insane. This is absolutely insane. I actually hope that Star Trek Discovery may not be awful, right? It may not be like the worst thing ever. And I said, I'm not watching this next season of Discovery. There's no point. There is no point. Everything seems to have turned around, right? We've had Star Trek, Strange New Worlds. Seemed like Star Trek to me, okay? It seemed like somebody else's riff on Star Trek, which still seems Star Trek-y. Picard seems so organically Next Generation. Was it Terry Matalas, I think the showrunner behind this, is just knocking it out of the park. Absolutely knocking it out of the park. I'm joined here by, in this review, a little bit in, about 10-15 minutes in, by Keith from Home Media Minefield is one of his channels, also British Isles, I think. Keith Isles. Everything's going to be in the video notes. He's like a maven. He knows about I've seen every episode of Star Trek, apart from some Lower Decks, because, come on, really, it's not really Star Trek. I've seen every episode of Star Trek. I wouldn't call myself like an expert. Keith really is, right? Keith really is. So I'm really glad he joined me on this stream so we could just really geek out about how much we're enjoying this. And I am. For me, I can't think of better Next Generation, right? I really can't. I'm going through it in my head. No, I think this is really genuinely one of the best. Look, it might not stick the landing. It might turn awful. Who knows? But right now, happy days are here again. So anyway, this is my review. It's a little bit late. My channel got a community strike for a review I did about a year and a half ago. Isn't that nobody saying? I don't know. Weird times. Anyway, I'm back now. So like, share, subscribe. All that thing's fantastic. Thank you very much. Look at the video notes. Sub to Keith's channels, I believe. They're actually very, very good channels. I should really plug them. They're actually very good channels. Please sub to his channel. Please sub to my channel. Sign up to my Substack, my email newsletter. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter. It's all there, baby. It's all there. Now, let me hand over to me. I did this on a live stream on Saturday night, which was, I don't know, a few days ago. So let me hand over to me, and then later, Keith from a few days ago. It's Star Trek Next Generation Greatest Hits. Told in a good, interesting new story that's moved the universe forward, and it feels organic to this day and age without lecturing you weird shit like men can have babies, right? That's essentially what this is, just like Star Trek, right? And they got an opening much like the Strange New Worlds opening, but I like the detail. It's a next gen ship. I think it's titled as it goes, whoa, whoosh, woo, whooshy woo, and look. I'm not an advocate for drugs, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, but if you're super high watching this, it don't hurt. It don't hurt. So anyway, we start off. We're right in the action. And this is basically a great riff on this episode. And also a real great riff on Star Trek 2. Like, starts off, and I didn't get the screen grab. You get the alert symbol, which they use all the time now, but that originated in Star Trek 2. And you also had the sound effect sounded similar, right? It felt like you're in Star Trek 2 because they're doing the Star Trek 2 maneuver. They're into a nebula, right? Now, and they're being completely outgunned by this massive ship, the Shriek, which a great design. And we actually get answers this week. Incredible. So essentially, what's happened is Picard got a secret message from Beverly Crusher. Nobody's seen Beverly Crusher for 20 years, and nobody knows why. She's cut off contact with everybody. And they get there, and they just find she's in a cryo unit, and there's a boy there about 20 years old who's very Captain Picard-esque, right? It's very obviously a dashing hero. But he's a medical hero. He's around saving, and he cons his way in places. He's a charmer, and he's a character, right? He's a character who you would like to see more of, right? He's kind of like an Arthur Daly for the good in Star Trek space, right? And Picard's son. Now, everybody sees this instantly, apart from Picard, right? Like, literally everybody sees this instantly, apart from him. So Riker's like, what, you're really not seeing this? So it doesn't get it. So only he only really comes to realization of this when Beverly finally wakes up, right? Just as this giant ship is after Picard's son, whatever his name is, and the great villain, really great villain, right? And they're gonna give the son up, right? Oh, but it can't be next year. It doesn't have data in it. Give it time. It's gonna have data in it. It's gonna have data in it. It's gonna have lore in it, I think. But I think lore's gonna become data. I think data's coming back, right? So what's I gonna say? So they're gonna beam him over. He was trying to beam himself over because he's a hero. He's very heroic, Arthur Daly in space. Right, but then Beverly comes into the bridge and he looks in Beverly's eyes and he finally says it's his son. And then weirdly, Captain Shaw, who doesn't really... Captain Shaw's goaded into saving them, right? He doesn't really want to be the guy who lets everybody die, but he's got to save everybody, right? But so he's going to hand the kid over, but I was like, belay that order. And he's like, Inge, how was it? Make it so. Or it says his catch like, yeah, it's a bit. And as they start to go into battle with the Shriek, the evil villain. No apology from Picard. Actually, the opposite. He has a full-blown argument. Everything about this is great, right? It feels like the character 20 years later. It's lovely, right? Great special effects, which I don't capture. Things are going bad, right? They got the medical heroes come and help. Hi, we're medical heroes. Meanwhile, I think that's LeVar Burton's daughter, right? George's daughter is at the helm, which I love. Okay, I love it, right? I loved having Tamura Sulu at the helm of Enterprise, was it C or B or whatever it was? I love that. That's Star Trek, mate. Shaw's doing good. He's standing up. He's being Star Trek-y. And they decide they have to go and hide, right? Evasive. So they go into the nebula. And by the way, I like the smoking villain. That's really good. What's her name? I'll look her name up soon. But she's excellent. She's very, very good. Very menacing. And we find out a lot more of them. Finally earning the fucking name. 17 seconds. Good title. Every title of this has been good. I mean, if you've ever heard John Coltrane's take on the Brigadier on Big Finish, the reason it's so good is not just because he knows how to mimic the Brigadier, but he also understands his performance so incredibly minutely well. It's as if Nicholas Courtney is making those acting choices because they are the acting choices he would make. It's really incredible. So in the same way, this is, I can't remember, Terry Matalas, right? It is so organically Next Generation. It again, but also it doesn't negate anything that came before. It kind of is already retconned that because of dead and this is an android. They change it more into like, it was a kind of a treatment he was given. He's still the same person, right? So it's so transplants essentially it's been kind of quietly retconned away without you really noticing it. Also, directed by Jonathan Frakes this episode. I was going to say great directions, and it was Jonathan Frakes who directed it. It's good music opening again. They like the music openings. We know we're in Starfleet territory. I like this missing moment with when Riker has had a kid and he's having a drink with Picard. He's talking about it, and also you get to see Troy for a second. I guess she's going to be in it later, but I get that's the way she can look. I mean, like, I guess with look younger, right? I guess that's the way they're going to go with it. Anyway, he's just had a baby. Now, he talks about this moment where he thought she was going to lose the baby, right? And he got a call from the sick bay. And said, you better come down, Captain, right? And he could tell on the tone of voice something was wrong. The turbolift right took him 17 seconds, the title of the episode. And it basically said in that 17 seconds, he became a father, right? So again, good, just good writing. Scott, wow, we haven't seen that in Star Trek for so long, right? It just is good writing, right? Now, present day, like again, loving the Titans, definite feel of the Enterprise, going for that, going for everything, right? Absolutely working in every. So fine, we're going to take a slight detour, right? A slight detour. My expert witness, my expert witness is here now. I consider this person the Maven on Star Trek, right? They might not know what a Maven is, but you know, there are a few people I say whose opinions I respect. I actually do. I totally respect his opinion on Star Trek, although. Strangely, he never was able to condemn Discovery, but we love him anyway. We love him anyway. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please if you're not subscribed to mine, which you almost certainly aren't. I'm in. He may not know. I'm on. I've got a community strike, so I'm here on my Exile channel, right? So basically, you can say it. Look, don't say anything bad, but basically, you can say Nick Nova's watching. It's groovy, baby. It's groovy. It's Keith from Home Media Minefield. How you doing, sir?
Hey, how you doing? Nice to see you. Thanks for having me.
Well, I like you to be had.
And and thanks for the kind words.
No, you are. You are the Star Trek. I like Star Trek. You actually know it a lot in a lot more detail. So I was basically what I do with these reviews is I go through the whole thing and recap it. I was going to get this done before you came in, and then we could go back and discuss it. Do you want to come and do the recap with me?
Yeah, sure. Or I can come back later if you want.
Either way is groovy. Okay, I mean, like again, we're a bit loosey goosey here today.
Right. No worries. No, go for it. I will find it entertaining. Yeah.
Stick around. So yeah, I got how many? I got 236 screen grabs to go through. I'm only on number 30.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
So we started off. I gave everybody the recap, right? So from my perspective. You can go direct from, I was skipped everything after Insurrection until Picard season 3, right? And you're not missing a beat. They fill everything in for you, right? And you're saving yourself a lot of pain, right? Keith, God bless you, mate. I challenge you to go back and watch season 1 or even season 2 without wanting to shoot yourself in the face. Now you've seen what real Star Trek is, right?
Yeah. No, I think what you say is fair. I think if somebody wanted to go from watching the next gen movies and then just jumping into this, it's doable. I mean, there are a few things that you might scratch your head about along the way, but pretty much they've done quite a good job of making this accessible to non-completists, if you like. So yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, I'll have again for me. I think the first 2 seasons just weren't canon, right? I've just removed them from reality, right? Much as Discovery. I mean, like I like Discovery. Look, first 8 episodes had promise. Then Brian Fuller's notes ran out, and leave me alone, right? But although, again, I'm a big believer in the culture wars. Did you see the thumbnail I have for this episode, this stream?
I almost dread to think.
Okay, I will show you. There you go. Doink. So I'm a big believer.
Oh, sorry. Right. Okay. The golden age. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big believer that the culture war's over, right? And this is what they're saying. We are sorry about everything, okay? We realize we like you watching this stuff, right? We're going to do what you want now, okay? With no more trouble, Massa, right? That's definitely the impression I'm guessing. And by the way, the new Doctor Who sounds like it's going to be crazy, right? They got the TARDIS. I know you're not a Doctor Who fan, but the TARDIS set is apparently so impressive. It's so huge that they have drones flying around inside it, right? Because the new Doctor Who's got a very animated performance, apparently. So that's what I think. I think the culture war's over. I think Mandalorian's awesome too. I think this is just everything's been Mandalorian was pure Star Wars. This has been pure TNG, right? It's been fabulous. So anyway, fine. They're doing the Star Trek 2 maneuver, right? They're hiding it in a nebula, right? Did you? I'm sure you did. Did you catch the right as going in for the cold opening? The what was I going to say? The Star Trek 2 references. You had the alert symbol and also the sound effects they were all just directly from Star Trek 2.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you had the red alert symbol, which actually was first seen in Star Trek the Motion Picture, but yes, does show up in Star Trek 2 as well. And you also had the the instrument used in the score is the same one as you had for V'Ger in
that was it.
Sort of thing.
That's the nebula cloud, right? The Star Trek nebula cloud sound. That was exactly it. And they did the same thing in the best of both worlds when they went into the nebula there.
Exactly. Right. And it tweaks that nostalgia, doesn't it?
Right. But at the same time, the story is a solid one. It's moving forward. It's exciting. And unbelievably, they've turned Raffi into a character I like. I'm interested in. That fits into Star Trek. I like. How'd you do that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. In fact, funny enough, I just did and posted this afternoon. We did our Let's See What's Out There episode on the Home Media Minefield channel. And it's funny, actually, because I'm really loving this, but my co-host, Pete Mealy, is actually not enjoying this as much. And it's interesting because, well, he's just got some issues. I mean, I don't want to speak for him, but there's things he's not enjoying about this. But I have to say, I'm just going along with the ride and loving it.
Okay, I'm not asking you to express it for him. I'm just trying to. I can't imagine what a criticism one could have of it is.
Well, I mean, I think he feels that it's a bit more sort of nihilistic than Next Gen typically was. I know this, and I understand what he meins. But at the same time, I'm enjoying it. So
but again, I think that for me feels more organic because it feels like it's Next Generation, but move forward into current times without being the insane current times. Move forward into 2015 before everything went bad.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I said to him, we have to remember as well that this is 23 years or whatever it is on from Star Trek Nemesis. So a lot's happened in that time, as a lot happens in our world in 23 years. So
it's been a strange 23, especially the last one. I mean, look, the last two have been awfully odd. But the four before it were pretty strange too. Okay, special effects. I'm loving the movie quality effects. Loving the Titan. It's just everything about it is direct. Oh, this is directed by Jonathan Frakes. Yes. Right, so they're on the silent running mode, right? Shaw's been great. So why do you think Shaw said okay to Picard last week when Picard's like, make it so, number one. I'm back.
Oh, actually, no, I'm glad you mentioned that because, to be honest, that was one of the things Pete did have a little bit of a issue with. He didn't believe in that. How 1 minute he's saying, I'm not going to risk the lives of 500, people on this vessel for, one life, meaning his son or whatever. And then once Picard actually reveals that it's his son, then he goes, yeah, let's go for it. Agreed, and all this. And he thought that was a bit of a U-turn.
I mean, it was a bit of a cliffhanger moment.
It's entertainment.
It's entertainment. I mean, I guess from his perspective, okay, imagine if I had to write the novelization, I would have his motivation being that now he realized Picard was on board, they actually had a fighting chance of victory. And they always felt bad surrendering. So, again, he basically just trusted Picard, right? That's basically what I think is going on.
Yeah. No,
anyway.
Absolutely.
They're in the nebula. 7 and 9. Again, 7 and 9 totally feels like 7 and 9. I can't remember what the scene was about. She goes to the scene.
That was a great scene where because I didn't mention this in my stream, so I'm glad you brought it up. This is a great scene where Geordie LaForge's daughter, I think Sydney LaForge is her name. She comes to Seven's quarters. Obviously, Seven is confined to quarters for insubordination. Right. And she comes and knocks and she basically does that little thing about how she considers her a friend and she was a bit of an outsider when she joined Starfleet. Everybody assumed.
I remember. Yeah, that's the thing. We had more than one very nice character scene in this.
It was a lovely little scene.
Great balance.
It was a lovely little scene. What I find kind of interesting though is of course at the moment she's a helms person in this, right. and in the red or the maroon or whatever color you want to call it these days. And of course, in the first season of Next Gen, that was what Geordie did.
I remember. Yes, I thought there was something a bit strange about that. You are correct.
Yeah, he was not actually promoted to chief engineer until I think season 2, and obviously then he went into the gold-colored uniform or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, so it's quite interesting that she's literally following in his footsteps there, and I like it because at the end of the scene she says, "Thank you, Commander 7." Which
yes,
smile.
That was nice. That was nice.
Because obviously, much as we like him, the new captain is referring to her as Commander Hansen. Which is interesting. But I quite like Captain Shaw. I know he's supposed to be a bit of a dick, but I actually quite like him.
Well, he's the dick captain in Star Trek Next Generation tradition, right? Yes. Captain Jellicoe, same thing, right? Yeah. Listen, you can see why he's the captain. Yeah, good negotiator.
Yeah, and styles in the movies, obviously we're always talking about how this sort of borrows from, the original Star Trek movies, and there's a lot of Star Trek 2 and 3 in this, and of course, you had Captain Styles of the Excelsior, right? That got made. Right. Looked a bit of a buffoon at the end of that scene. So
it was a guy from Hill Street Blues. I remember.
Oh, that's right.
My prediction is when LeVar Burton shows up, he will reference he was the helmsman, right? I bet they're going to say he'll reference that at some point because they talk about that. Fine. Oh, fantastic scene. Okay, so we got Beverly helping out in sick bay, and her and Picard need to talk. Right?
Yes.
Bro, it's brilliant, right? So essentially, she said, "Look, every week you're in Next Gen, mate. Okay, like then the Florolians were going to kidnap you, and then you're replaced by a robot, and then you're this, and then you're that, right? I need to suddenly break up a kid. Although I think her explanation was a bit extreme.
What I liked about this, I mean, I thought it was well written and well acted, and the good thing about it is, whichever side of the argument you wanted to sit on here, you can see both of their points of view, because Beverly's reasons for keeping Jack away, I think, are perfectly legitimate.
The sound. The sound.
But like especially in light of what's actually happening in this episode. But then on the flip side, what I think Picard said, which is really good in this, was it wasn't only about that she didn't tell him, but she never gave him the choice to be a father, and he was angry about that. And I really like this. I really liked. There's been some questionable writing over the previous 2 seasons of Picard. But this is top notch. This is really well written and beautifully performed by both actors.
Excellently performed. Really. I think they both did knock them out the park. And you always expect great performances from Picard, from Patrick Stewart. But I mean, this is certainly the strongest performance in this series so far. And this is the strongest performance I've seen since, I don't know, Days of Future Past, which I thought was very good. Then he was in that for 5 minutes. Yeah. So basically, he's like saying he's lamenting the person he could have been, right? And they're like, "Fine, we'll just move on." Basically, then we got this lovely little scene with Riker just enjoying being around Jack. Like now he can finally say, "Oh, okay, now I can recognize you," right?
And I think again, I'm not too sure whether I've got my dates and timeline and everything sort of straight in my head, but I think had Riker and Troy's son survived, it'd be about the same age as Jack.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense.
I think. I'm not sure, but I think that sort of would match up roughly. So yeah.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, they do reference that quite a bit. But it's nice that they have the interaction. Do you think these are all digital, right? You don't think these are models, because they look really.
I think all the effects in this are the VFX are CG, I believe. But I mean, I agree with you when you say movie quality. Most definitely, most definitely. You can't knock that about this show. I even used to say that when I was defending Discovery from people who. I was saying to them, look, the show looks totally amazing.
It's gorgeous.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but the difference between this and something more traditionally CG, this model looks like it's built to be physical, right? It looks like it was built to be a physical model and photographed, and I think that adds to the feeling of it, right? The authenticity of it.
Yeah, I quite like the design there because it kind of mirrors the sort of. It's got a bit of classic and a bit of new.
Right. You're looking at an Enterprise, right? I can't remember. Somebody wants to describe Buffy the Vampire Slayer as Jew Broad who kills Draculas, right? So if you want to be that general, it's an Enterprise, right? You can watch it with your girlfriend and she'll be fine, right? That's actually one of the best things you can say about the show. Totally, you can watch this one with your spouse, right? There's So anyway, so then they're the strike finds them again. They don't know how they keep finding them. Great confrontation, and they just get the shit kicked out of them, right? And it was a very precise beating as well, right? She knew when to stop. But you get the bit everybody's kind of looking forward to. He's like, you sort this out, right? He's got blood dripping from his head, transfers command codes to Riker. What's the deal with the bald Vulcans? I've seen them before. Are they a cast or something? What's going on with that?
I don't know. I think we've seen bald Vulcans before, but I don't.
Yeah, we have. They're not universally bald. So I'm like, is that like kind of like it was in? I think it was in the motion picture.
Yes, it was. I don't know whether that is there's any relevance to that or not, or whether the actress that they cast happened to be bald. I don't know.
No, this was a choice. This was absolutely a choice.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know is the answer to that, but it's good to see.
So anyway, so now now we have this really nice dynamic with Riker in captain and Picard as like number one. Which great! We get a Riker maneuver, right? Straight away comes up with a Riker maneuver. They fire a photon. They don't have to shake it. They fire a photon torpedo and they blow it up, and the shock waves blows the streak away, right? So they get some breathing room. Okay, but again, perfect Riker, right? That's just a Riker move. There you go. Well done. Do you think they'll do more after? Do you think this is? Do you know what the response has been to this so far?
I think fairly positive from what I gather. I'm one of those, because I tend to review these shows myself. I don't watch a lot of reviews simply because I don't want to be too influenced by what the echo chamber says. You know what I mean? So I tend not to watch a lot of them. However, I have heard that various influencers on YouTube that have quite big followings and whatever were actually sent this series as a screener before.
I saw it. Was it Richard Bryan Burnett? And nobody believed him. No one believed him. I didn't believe him. Why would we believe him?
They've all said good things about it, where previously they've been quite critical. So I think from the sounds of it, the show's doing quite well. But as I said, I go by my own barometer as to whether I'm enjoying it. I mean, they have said this is the last season of Picard. But then again, that doesn't necessarily mean that some of the characters from this won't show up at some other point, presuming they survive this show.
That's true. Look, I mean, it does seem to make a Riker show, again, presuming they survive, possible, right? It certainly opens the door for that. I would just like Terry Matalas get more work. Fine. So then I was kind of bummed.
He's doing Terry Matalas. I'm liking what he's doing here. As I said, he's clearly a Star Trek fan himself, and he's thinking
Yeah.
of the fans. And I've heard people say, "Oh, it's fan service and all this,but there's
No,
nothing wrong
no,
with
it's
fan
not.
service
It's not
if it's
fan
telling
service.
a good story, right?" So
Right. Okay, this is what fan service is. A lot of the wokeness as well, for want of a better word, is the same thing. And I worked this out from watching Doctor Who in 1985. Right, Doctor Who in 1985 was not very good. It was Colin Baker. I loved it, right? I loved it, but it just objectively wasn't very good, right?
right.
And because because the script editor didn't really know what to do with the new Doctor, he had that awful code and just didn't. He was pissed off, right? He didn't know what to do, so they filled it with a lot of like this weird hyper violence that didn't really work at all, right?
Oh,
So
really?
it's when you don't know what to do, you fill with whatever's the thing of the time, which kind of worked in mid 80s. So now if you do that today, firstly it was wokeness, like Lord of the Rings. It was like they had no story, they had no idea what they're doing. They just had identity politics. That was the only thing that was really there, right? Because they didn't know what they were doing, right? In my opinion. But so fan service is the same thing. When you don't know what you're doing and you have no real clear vision, you put things in that fans will like fans like the original Bird of Prey. We'll do that, right? And they think that let's have about being Picard's long, deep, intimate relationship with Data, who he spent about like 20 minutes with on screen previously, right? I mean, that was it was just that's what fan service is. This is an understanding of it and a celebration of it. Like this image here. Pure Star Trek. It feels like I'm in the Star Trek universe, where even when we're out Star Trek, right? Everything works.
No, I agree.
So I had a problem with this scene. My problem was like, what's going on? Okay, what's the name? Raffi wakes up after being saved. She was okay. There's a whole subplot. Raffi was the secret operative looking for this stolen tech that was used to. We're going to see in this episode that was used to blow up Starfleet recruitment headquarters. And she tracked down the person. Her contact, who she didn't know was, told her, "Don't go, don't engage, do not engage." Right? And she did anyway. Met a very cool Ferengi. I like that Ferengi a lot. Great action sequence. She gets saved by Worf. Right? So we see Worf at the end. So she wakes up and she's with Worf. The problem I have with this scene is, I was like, "What's wrong with Worf? This is really weird." I was comparing him to Worf in All New Things, All Good Things, right? Because they look basically identical. The future Worf and this Worf look, but this one sounds older. I couldn't work it out. The last one he sat, so I was like, why is his voice so weak? What happened? I was like, oh, it's not young Worf pretending to be old Worf. This is really old Worf, right?
Yeah. I mean, of course. Worf is old in this because Michael Dorn has aged, as opposed to aging makeup. But I do find the All Good Things quite interesting, because it would be that alternate timeline would be approximately sort of where we're at now in the story, roughly. Right. And what's interesting is like the names of Geordie's daughters, and this is where I think again they've taken, from a writing perspective, they've taken a lot of care and attention to detail, because in that alternate timeline, Geordie, when he meets Picard, says the name of his kids. And you know what? The name of his kids are the same names that they're using in this show. And I think that's brilliant, because just because that's an alternate timeline, why would you name your children differently? You wouldn't necessarily, right? So little things like that, I actually think are really good. I love that as an attention to detail. Love it.
Is he married to Leia Brahms in this one as well?
I don't know. Don't know. Maybe we'll find out. I don't know. But
is the actress still acting? Is the same person still around?
I don't know. Not sure.
She'll take the work, okay? She'll take the work. Fine. So great scene with it. So this is a great subplot, right? This is a great way to bring Worf in. Worf was a covert agent, and he's a warrior, and he recognized a warrior in Waffy. Waffy's a warrior. He's a warrior. They're warriors together. They're gonna be warriors, and they're gonna go to war. Essentially, let us go and find the people who did this, okay? And they're like, oh, okay, we'll be warriors. That's the same. I'm not missing anything out, right? That's essentially the scene.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, these two could get a spin-off show. You know what I mean? It would
Exactly.
it could be quite
I don't know
entertaining.
no, this character just like suddenly, not just as a character I like now, but it's a character that works inside Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I think again, it's about the material. Michelle Hurd, nothing wrong with her as an actor, very good, and all of this. The problem is the material that she was given in the first couple of seasons. You know, 1 minute she was angry, the next minute she was okay. You know, it was all over the place. Whereas with this, they've got a little bit of balance, and her chemistry with Michael Dorn. Really seems to work and really seems to gel here.
Yeah.
So I think it's taken them 3 seasons, but they finally found out what to do with this character, which is great.
Yeah, look, they could have taken 15 seasons. It was just the right person in charge, right? So here's the question though, because I think there is a massive sea change going in the entertainment industry that they just don't want to look stupid having things that are very dated now. Having the the very woke stuff, it's like having bell bottoms. Like, when you got somebody lecturing you about climate change, it's just like everybody sees it now, and so they're all embarrassed of it. So, a double part question: Star Trek Discovery finally being put out of its misery after another 10 episodes. Thank God for that. I thought it was coming out this year, but it seems to be pushed back to 2024. I don't know if they announced it, but it seems to be pushed back to 2024. Do you think they're retooling it in this new environment to not be excruciatingly awful?
I'm not sure if that's the case. I think what's happened, I think the reason it's got pushed back is because when Paramount Plus decided to cut shows, it's a very expensive show to make. They'd made the 5th season. There were plans to make a 6th season, but I think the reason everything's got pushed back is I believe they're going to film some more stuff to actually make it have a proper conclusion. I suspect it may have ended in some sort of, like they used to at Next Gen, some sort of cliffhanger, end of season cliffhanger. and I think rather than, let's be honest, that would be even more annoying, right? If you watch the show and invested in the show. I would love that. I know you don't, but you know what I mean?
Not only that, I would actually prefer that. I would love them to screw the fans over of that too, right? Oh, yes. That would vindicate me. That would make me feel good in life, okay? Yeah, I know that makes me small and petty, but yes. Listen, we're all human beings, baby. What can I tell you, including Rabbi? By the way, I did want to try that narcotic she had last week. That looked pretty darn good. I just realized that guy's Bajoran. Okay, very nice.
Oh, nice. Yeah. They again, they've done that very well this season. I noticed they've scattered a lot of the different species throughout all of Star Trek in this, and that's been really good. By the way, you mentioned Sneed the Ferengi.
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah, who was played by Aaron Stanford, by the way, who was the lead in 12 Monkeys, which was Terry McCullough's previous show. But I thought it was actually quite cool to see a Ferengi in this. And again, even though they sort of updated the look, they didn't do it in a way where it broke continuity, did they?
Yeah. It's like the gangster, the gangster rapper Ferengi.
Yes. Who got decapitated. They do like decapitations on this show. I have noticed that. that's something they've carried over.
But the thing is, they swear on this, they decapitate on this, but it still feels like Star Trek, whereas before it never did, right? So Picard, we got a nice scene with it, where they try and work out what to do. Picard and Riker, their interaction is just so organic, right?
I mean, the whole thing with the why the previous shows were didn't feature the other crew members. From what I understand from interviews and stuff, that sort of came from Patrick Stewart in many respects. Is he agreed to come back to the show, and they obviously made him a producer as well. And one of the things I think he stated in the original, like the first season and everything, is he didn't want it to be a Next Gen reunion series.
Yeah, exactly.
But unfortunately, that's not what the fans wanted. So
so then essentially he had to stand around for about 3 or 4 years, coated in buckets of shit and pretending he wasn't, right? As people vomited the vile, awful shit he projected back at him. And eventually he decided, you know what? It's better not being made a fool. It's better to keep one's mouth shut and everybody think you're a fool than open it and remove all doubt, right? That's essentially they just
and I think
can't do it anymore.
And I think the wonderful opportunity they've got here, which so far 3 episodes in they don't seem to be blowing, which is great, is the fact that many people felt that Nemesis was it wasn't one of the better Star Trek movies, and it wasn't a nice send-off for the next gen crew in the same way that Undiscovered Country was for the original series crew. And this series hopefully is the opportunity to, whether they live or die, but is a way
if they do the sign off like they did with Undiscovered Country, that'll be lovely. I'd
love that. I mean, bearing in mind, that they're using, I'm loving the Jerry Goldsmith theme from First Contact that they're using in this. And imagine that music with the signatures would be amazing, wouldn't it? So
Yeah. I you know what? I'm optimistic we'll see something like that because again, Terry Matalas really understands what Star Trek is.
I believe he
very
does.
good Star Trek character.
Yeah, I do believe he does. Yeah.
Yeah, I do believe it. I like Picard's son. Very, very Star Trek-y character. Okay, very Star Trek-y moment. Yeah, look, the straight, uptight, by the book doctor, misdiagnosed Captain Shaw, who's about to die, and because they're field medics, they know. But Captain Shaw's like, "What the are you doing? Like, look, like what? How are they fighting us?" And then Jack has an idea, right? Bald Vulcan, like the Bald Vulcan. They're on.
I also noticed that the doctor is a trill. I don't know whether you noticed that, but the stuffy doctor is a trill. Yeah. So
there you go. Zoom in. Hang on.
I don't know whether you can actually see it in that picture. But
yeah, a little bit over there. Yeah. Oh boy, that wasn't worth the makeup, darling. It wasn't worth the makeup. Trust me.
Got the freckles. Yeah.
Right. But I did like Dax. The freckles went all the way down. It was on the Riser episode. They did that as well. They had to go like all down her body. I would have loved to be a makeup artist in that case. So he's looking around for stuff. Great special effects. And Shrike turns up again, right? No, they're about to escape. They're leaving the nebula. They got the warp drive repaired. They're about to escape, but the Strike finds them, and they fire their new weapon that they couldn't tell before, and it's basically a portal gun, right? So they keep getting dragged back into the nebula. They can't make it out to warp out. Great weapon. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this kind of reminded me. I don't actually know the character's name, but in the X-Men, there was in fact, I think there was more than one character that could do this, that could create like a portal and jump through that and then appear somewhere else in the room adjacent and stuff. And yeah, this is an interesting bit of tech. I mean, I'm guessing this is something that they stole from the Daystrom Institute.
Right, it's the same thing that blew up Star Trek recruitment.
I guess so. Yeah, it would make sense. I think it's similar technology, and yeah, I mean the way that Vadik uses it against the Titan here is
it's really clever.
Yeah,
it's really clever, right?
Yeah.
By the way, a couple of times in the episode they said there's energy and life readings inside the nebula, so that's clearly going to be a clever alien going to save them next week. Nobody panic, right? When I said that, they said, "Oh, that's going to happen." Fine. So Wolf and what's name go and they capture the bad guy, right, to interrogate him. Meanwhile, good action scene. they've worked out that some of the steel there's some way they're tracking them, right? And they knock him out, and they leave to work out the problem.
The knocking the guard out a bit, I did roll my eyes slightly.
Oh, come on. You love Star Trek 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't call me tiny, right?
Don't call me tiny. Oh, yeah, great line. That's loving the red corridor light. So they find like this gas being released that it'll sabotage. Right, sabotage. And they tell Riker, and then the Vulcan is like, I can't remember which it is. So Picard's like, we now we have an advantage. We could use this to attack the Shrike, right? They're expecting to find us. They don't know we know. He's like, dude, they're gonna kill us. There's no way we'll survive that confrontation. Okay, so he gets that was only while turning off the leak. You see him ripple a little bit. They do see him ripple a little bit when they fight.
Yeah.
Right. So at first I thought that was some kind of like masking thing, right? Or some kind of like stealth technology. It didn't even occur to me it'll be a founder, which we're going to find out soon. There's a founder, right? Just spoiler warning. Like an hour in.
I guess presumably you did that at the beginning, yeah.
Nah. I mean, it's just kind of a known thing. I did when I repost it. I'll put the spoiler warning, but I'll put it on the thumbnail. So yeah, again, the reason Raffi actually works in this series because she's got the latitude to be able to be more violent, right? Not full of Starfleet code. I like it's Wolf that's holding her back, right? And then you start to work out that it's a shapeshifter. Weird vision of 709 rescuing her, but okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm thinking that in that little sort of unconscious dream sequence thing that he has there, I'm sure this is foreshadowing something. There was some sort of clue in there. I have no idea what it was, but there's something going on.
I'm thinking that she's somehow connected to the technology of the ship through her Borg implants. Right, and I think that's basically her relationship with the technology. But anyway, she saves him. Another great scene, right? I thought he was brown bread, right? I thought he was going to die. They call
Picard. I particularly thought it in so much as because this is borrowing quite a lot from, Star Trek's 2 and 3. Yeah, I thought, maybe this character's going to die. Maybe his son's going to die, and whatever. And I did think that, particularly with the title of the episode and the story that Riker told him, and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
but yeah,
fantastic writing. I love this scene. Echoes that scene we saw at the beginning. We haven't seen writing like this in years, and it's not that complicated. But it's just like it just shows care and attention, right? So Riker's Riker said the story here, the 17-second turbo lift ride. This is just before he came in. And so now he's reliving this. And in that 17 seconds, Riker became a father. This is when Picard's becoming a father, like when he thinks the kid's going to die. And I thought he was going to die as well. Gets there, and then failed a couple times. But eventually, doink, they bring him back to life. Thank goodness. And Picard is happy and he's a father. Meanwhile, back at the plot, we find out who the bad guys are, and they start to he starts to Odo out. It's a changeling. Apparently, there's a faction of changelings that are still mad. Odo contacted Worf and said there's a faction of changelings that are still mad about losing the Dominion War. Did they lose, or was it like I can't remember, how did that end?
Yeah, I again, I'm not a Deep Space Nine aficionado, but basically they came with. In fact, if I remember right, I thought they had some sort of weapon that could.
That could wipe out the. That was it. They had a weapon that could kill the founders,
and they ended up coming to some sort of agreement, and they went back to the great. What do they call it? The great. I can't remember. I can't even remember what their terminology is, but they went back to that.
It was called The Great Link. Did you
Great
ever
Link.
see the documentary What We Left Behind?
Yes, I did.
Excellent,
yeah, that was very
excellent.
Good.
So in that documentary, the one of the parts of it is they have the original writers' room, and they break down the plot for a season 9 episode 1, which is kind of cool, right? And then that I think now Renee, what's his name, has passed away,
sadly. Yeah.
But I like that he was referenced. Anyway, the bad guys are the changelings, right? There's a changeling on the ship, so it seems to be a bit overkill. You got a changeling, and you got a massively overpowered ship. I mean, okay, Picard's very much into like using this as an advantage to attack, and he's like saying, "No, this is your paternal instinct is kicking in. No, we got to save everybody." During his he turns into sludge, and they phaser it away. Jack's alive again. Meanwhile, the changeling puts an explosive on to stop them going into warp, and they're going to go and find the people. Supposed to go to bush, and they can't go to warp. So finally, because like you're out of options, you've got to fight, right? You've got to fight, and reluctantly, Riker's like, okay. So they get there and they fire at them, right? But they fire the portal weapon, and then the same energy bolts, the torpedoes they fire at them, ends up disabling their ship, right? And they're screwed, and they go floating down. They're not going to survive. And he's like, remove yourself from the bridge. You've killed everybody. Dun dun dun.
Yep.
And great titles, just fantastic titles. We love next generation titles. This is next generation titles wank mag. It is perfect. Okay. If that's what you want, that'll do it for you. So yeah, basically, it's the Great Link. PD Rich said is what it's called. I reckon the aliens inside the cloud will help them. Great story. Like it's a really organic story moving forward. Excellent, right? I think it's excellent. What do you think? What's your predictions for the rest of the series and the rest of Star Trek?
Right. I mean, my predictions are. I mean, I've avoided the trailers because I think, from what I've heard, there's quite a few spoilers in the trailers, so I've been trying to avoid that. Obviously, I know that Geordi and some of the other team come back. I'm wondering whether they're going to come into the rescue on the Enterprise F. I'm just wondering whether we might see that. Don't know.
That'd be nice.
Because let's be honest, the Enterprise is a character, right? And,
right.
Regardless of
that would be cool. That would be cool.
So I'm wondering whether,
how do you see the shape of Star Trek playing over the next couple of years?
Well, I think it's in a good place finally, because I think between what they're doing here and Strange New Worlds, which I know you're a fan of, we've already talked about Strange New Worlds, which has been, I believe, greenlit for a 3rd season as well. Excellent. So
I am nervous about Strange New World season 2, though, right? Because I think I'm nervous about season 2 of Strange New World, because I think changing the engineer for Carol Kane, you got that male-female balance it was off to start with, and it's more off now, right? So I'm worried about it, right? I that character was a real, really important lockstone.
I was really surprised. Yeah, I mean, I was really surprised. I mean, for a prequel show, where we know where a lot of them are going to end up, the fact that one of the most interesting new characters that wasn't related to anyone else in the Star Trek universe so far, and was a person with oh God, it's completely gone out of my head. I want to say impairment. Sorry, that's the word.
Okay, a disability.
Visually impaired. Yeah, visually impaired. And a really, really great character, an awesome sense of humor. I was sad. Obviously, it made that have more impact in the fact that we lost.
Absolutely,
and all that. But I was kind of sad to see him go. I'm not going to lie.
Right. And I'm just not convinced.
I'm
Carol
glad
King is
they
right.
haven't gone with Scotty. I was worried that they were going to go straight with Scotty, and I'm glad they haven't, because it's just too early for that. We could just about get away with the fact Uhura's on the bridge as well, you know.
Yeah, which is a cadet, fine. And he's a very advanced cadet, and that all worked, right? I'm fine with that, right? And by the way, her arc was fantastic. There's that one shot at the end of her story where she looks at the communication bay, right?
Yeah.
And it's her raison d'etre that communicate, help people connect. I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. That's so as beautifully directed. Absolutely lovely.
Absolutely. It was great. But I mean, in terms of answering your question, like, even when you think of when Star Trek was at its peak in the mid-90s, when we had movies and whatever, but we only had 2 shows running at the same time. It was either Next Gen and Deep Space Nine, or Deep Space Nine and Voyager, right? So we've never had more than 2 shows. We've obviously got 2 shows at the moment, and we've got the animated series, which, you know, they're kind of their own thing. But I mean, I don't know. There's talk of all sorts of other shows, whether or not they're going to happen.
But all the ones they talked about aren't happening. The Michelle Yeoh isn't happening. Leave it alone.
Well, Michelle Yeoh could be an Oscar winner this time next month. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah,
winning an Oscar doesn't mean anything anymore. It's like it's lost its cachet.
But I don't know. I think they've got it. I think they finally found the balance.
I mean, look. But you know what? It's always the way when they find the balance is when the plug gets pulled, right? It's literally always the way. I guess we'll find out. One last question. I'm going to wrap up soon. I'm running out of steam. I don't have time to do Mando or anything. One last question for you. The controversial turning Picard into a robot, right? I feel has been subtly retconned this season. It's been turned into it seems to be like it's a treatment rather than he's a robot body of him.
Yeah. I mean, they've you know, to be fair to them, they've not, because I wondered whether they were going to ignore it completely, and they haven't. They have brought it up. So but they've really, it's almost like that thing that they briefly mention and then move on very quickly.
Right, exactly. It seems to be like, forget it, move on. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, that again was a problematic thing in the first season. I actually thought, you know, when I was watching that first season and I thought they were actually really going to kill him off, I thought, wow, that's a bold move, you know. Props to you, Patrick Stewart, you know, and all this. And then, of course, seconds later, they completely undo it. And it's like, oh, okay. But I mean, I don't have a massive issue with it, but it's not great, is it? I think.
In Doctor Who, we had a similar thing where the 8th Doctor in 1996, when it was in one episode, said he's half human on his mother's side. Right, so, and then we just totally forgot it ever happened. It got retcon saying that was only in that regeneration or so. It's like really, it's a weird. We just forgot. Same thing. I think it's the same thing. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.